So, thermal aspect of the braking. When you apply the brake on the wheel, then lot of heat is also generated. So, how it is going to affect the braking system? That is also very important to note. Okay? During normal application of the brake, the kinetic energy of the rotation of the wheel converted into heat, which is dissipated to the brake drum and the atmosphere. So, we have got the first we have got the disc brake. And another drum brake. So when the brake is applied, what happens? Kinetic energy of the motion is being converted into heat energy. In case of disc brake, there is provision for the dissipation of the heat. Heat is being dissipated over here because the disc is having lot of holes. You must have seen that disc has so many holes are there. Okay, so these holes help in dissipation of the heat. While in drum brake, there is it is all inside it, and this brake shoe that presses the drum and heat is generated, and this heat is not getting dissipated to the extent to which disc brake do. Okay, see, this is the difference. Dissipation of heat is very much more than the drum brake, in which the dissipation of heat is a problem. That's why we always prefer the disc brake. Now, this dissipation, the rim of the wheel should have sufficient open space for the air circulation. Rim of the wheel, in disc brake, that the whole disc is having lot of holes. So the heat dissipation take place very easily. While in drum brake, there is no provision for the heat dissipation at all. Only through the drum. Only through the drum it can be dissipated. In case of skidding, the kinetic energy is dissipated in friction between the wheel tire and surface of the road. Of course, when the vehicle is moving, suppose this is a vehicle, okay. So, when the vehicle is moving, lot of heat is being generated between the road surface and the wheel, and kinetic energy creates lot of friction. The tire gets excessively heated up and surface is badly scratched and worn out. Tire gets a lot of heat and it may get worn out or heated up. The tire, brake drum and rim must be strong enough to heat thus generated. They should be, that is the tire, rim, brake drum, all these should be strong enough to take the heat. It should be strong enough to take the heat so that the dissipation of heat can take place. Now we will go to some mathematical aspect of this brake drum. I think I should rub it out. The braking retarding force. braking retarding force FB equal to weight of vehicle into retarding into rate of deceleration weight of vehicle into rate of deceleration divided by acceleration due to gravity. Okay, that is the braking force. Braking force that is equal to weight of the vehicle, then rate of the deceleration, how much pressure has been applied on the brake pedal by the driver divided by the acceleration due to gravity. Now if driver effort is say P Newton, okay, driver is applying force on the pedal, that is the pedal of the brake link, then this goes to the force is being applied on the pedal, that is if it is P Newton, then mechanical brake, then for mechanical brake on our rating for mechanical. See, the brake system is too many types. One is your mechanical type, one is your hydraulic type. Then mechanical brakes, the mechanical advantage. Then mechanical brake, the mechanical advantage for mechanical brake, that is the mechanical advantage, that will be given by FB by P, okay, that is the braking effort, braking force divided by the effort of the driver, that is P force being applied by the driver on the pedal. So this is the mechanical advantage. In a small passenger's car, now the mechanical advantage varies with the type of the vehicle, what type of vehicle it is. A small passenger's car in a small passenger car, the mechanical advantage, I am writing in short, the mechanical advantage is given by from 100 to 52 is 50 to 100 is 50 to 100. Okay? In a small passenger's car, the mechanical advantage, that is the ratio, that's why there is no unit at all. And for LCV, light motor vehicle, LCV, light commercial vehicle, for LCV, this value comes out to be 100 to 150, 100 to 250 for LCV, okay, and for heavy vehicle it is 250 to 800. यहीं पर लिख दे रहे हैं for heavy vehicle it is 250 to 800. Okay, so this mechanical advantage while you are applying the brake, that is the ratio of the braking retarding force divided by the effort of the driver on the pedal, that is called mechanical advantage. And this mechanical advantage for the small passenger car, this mechanical advantage is 50 to 100 only. Okay, and for light commercial vehicle it is 100 to 250, and for heavy commercial vehicle it is 250 to 800. Because it is a ratio, therefore there is no unit at all. So I think it is clear. Now the second part, if it is hydraulic system, hydraulic brake, this was the mechanical brake. I think it is clear. Okay, mechanical brake, that is braking retarding force, weight of the vehicle into rate of the deceleration divided by acceleration due to gravity. And if driver is applying a pressure P on the pedal, then P Newton, then for the mechanical brakes, mechanical advantage for light vehicle is 50 to 100. Mechanical advantage for light commercial vehicle is 100 to 250, and for heavy vehicle it is 250 to 800. Now this is the mechanical braking system. Suppose the hydraulic braking system is there. Hydraulic braking system, then in that case hydraulic braking system, in that case hydraulic brake FB is given by P into A. A is the area of the piston on which the oil pressure is working. Okay, A is the area of the piston or master cylinder. A is area of piston of master cylinder. Okay, so in every hydraulic brake there is master cylinder. So P into A, P is the effort by the driver, A is the area of the piston of the master cylinder. ठीक है, तो heat generated is equal to heat generated is equal to work done in braking. Okay, heat generated into work done in braking. Work done in braking, that is WD in braking is equal to braking force multiplied by stopping distance. Okay, work done in braking, that is given by braking force into stopping distance, and that is equal to FB into D Newton meter. Okay, FB into D into Newton. So heat generated is given by heat generated H, that is equal to FB into D divided by 4200 kilocal. Okay, heat जो generate होगा F into D, that is the Newton meter force which is being applied, divided by that is 4200. 1 kilocal is equal to 4200 Newton meter or 1 kilocal equal to 4200 Newton meter or joules. Okay. So if n is the number of the wheel Brecht, if n is number of wheel on which brake is applied, on which brake is applied. If n is the number of wheel on which brake is applied, कंप्यूटर को मोड़ दो ना. If n is और okay. So if n is this side, if n is the number of wheels, if n is the number of wheels, then total heat generated. If n is the number of wheels, then total heat generated that is given by FB into D divided by 4200 into N kilocal. Okay, number of the wheels. At a time you are applying the brake on suppose front wheel or front and rear wheel both, then in that case the formula becomes this. And if V is the linear velocity of the wheel, if V is velocity of the wheel, then heat generated is given by FB into V divided by 42 into N, that is kilocal per minute per wheel. Okay, so this much of heat is being generated when the vehicle is moving and brake is applied. Okay, N is the number of the wheel. So in short, there is the mechanical system of the braking system and another is the hydraulic system of the braking system. In hydraulic system, the braking force is given by P into A, that is the pressure applied on the pedal into the area of the piston of the master cylinder, and the heat generated is equal to the work done in the braking, braking force into stopping distance, that is FB into D Newton meter. So heat generated is given by FB into D divided by 4200 kilocal. Or if N is the number of V, then in that case the formula becomes total heat generated is given by FB into D 4200 into N kilocal. If V is the linear velocity, then distance has got no meaning at all. So heat generated FB into V 4200 into N kilocal per minute per wheel. Okay, I think it is clear. That is the heat generated, yeah, thermal aspect of the braking system. Now the next which I am going to deliver, that is electronic brake force distribution. That is electronic brake force distribution. Okay, electronic brake force distribution. It is also known as EBD. It has been mentioned in your syllabus also. It is an automobile brake technology that automatically varies amount of the force applied to each of the vehicle wheel. automatically the brake amount of braking is being vary automatically. Okay, based on the road condition. It depends upon the road condition, speed, loading, etc. Road condition, speed and loading. What sort of load is there on the vehicle? So it automatically works. It studies the road condition, speed and loading. What type of loading is there on the vehicle, and that applies the brake on the vehicle. So this is known as electronic brake distribution. Electronic brake distribution works in conjunction with ABS and electronic stability. EBD works in conjunction with ABS. ABS is very modern, new thing. It is a new thing, ABS. That is automatic braking system. That is automobile braking system. That EBD works in conjunction with the ABS system. EBD is based on the principle that the weight being supported by the wheel and your car is not evenly distributed. Some will carry a heavier load and other will require more braking force in order to bring the car to a stop without it going out of the control. Furthermore, the amount of the weight being supported by the wheel shift during the braking process. So, the amount of the force necessary at each wheel can change rapidly. That is there because we have got the four wheels, people are sitting there, some amount of luggage is also there. Suddenly the brake is applied, so there the distribution will be variable because that the luggage may shift to forward or backward. So braking at the forward will be more than the backward, or people sitting in the carriage, they may bend to the back side, so braking may required at higher rate on the rear wheel. So that is being controlled by this EBD, electronic braking system. Furthermore, the amount of weight supported by the wheel shift during, that's correct. EBFD system usually made up of three subcomponents that are monitored and guided by ECU. There are three main components. First, speed sensor for each wheel. Three main components, I should write it like that. Three main components. Of EBD, electronic braking system. It has got three main components. First one is that is speed sensor for each wheel. For each wheel, okay. Then the second one, brake force modulator, that is mechanism that increases or decreases the brake force applied to the wheel. Brake force modulator, okay. That is mechanism that, what is that modulator? Mechanism, the mechanism that increases or decreases, increases or decreases brake force applied to the wheel. Brake force applied to the wheels, okay. That is the modulator, function of modulator. So three main components. First one is the speed sensor for each of the wheel, how the rotation is going on of the wheel. Then the third one, that is ECU. ECU. Okay, electronic control unit. So we have got three parts important for the electronic brake force distribution, and those three parts: sensor for the each wheel, just to read the RPM of the wheel, sensor I have been provided. Then speed sensor or for each wheel, okay, sensor हो गया. Braking force modulator, how much brake is being applied, how to control that, that is mechanism that increases or decreases the brake force applied to the wheel. Mechanism, that system, ABS system is there. How to gauge how much braking is required, how to gauge how much braking is required at the wheel, that is being controlled by the brake force modulator. And the third, electronic control unit, that you know very well. Electronic control is there because it is the electronic braking system. So in that way we have got the system which uses electronic braking system. I am going to draw a sketch also, which you will try to understand. Two figures are there, and the third figure. And the third one here. So we have got the three figures over here, and it is showing the braking pressure which is being applied over here. Okay, so that is with EBD, normal brake for distribution to front and rear wheel. With EBD, that is with EBD, normal braking force distribution to front and rear wheel. Normal braking force, okay? Normal braking force. normal braking force is being applied. Okay, with EBD, increased braking force is applied. Sorry, this is without EBD. Without EBD. Sorry, without EBD, braking force is applied. With EBD, increased braking force is applied. Increased braking force applied. Okay, and the last one, normal braking force distribution to front and rear wheel, passing passenger and cargo, with passenger and cargo. This is here, with passengers and cargo, with passenger and cargo, normal braking force distribution. Normal braking force distribution to front and rear wheel. Okay, so these are the three aspects. Electronic braking force when it is being applied. That is, with EBD, normal braking force is being applied over here. Then without EBD, increased braking force is being applied with EBD. Without EBD, normal force. With EBD, increased braking force is being applied because of the EBD. And when there are passenger and cargo and etc., because the distribution of the braking force will be varying in all the four wheels, because when you apply the brake, cargo may shift or passenger may shift also. So in that case, the braking force which is being applied, normal braking force. Okay, normal braking force which is applied. So these are the electronic braking system which are nowadays used. Okay, so this was all about your electronic braking system. Now one thing more which I have is told yesterday also, I think I want to repeat it, give you the correct picture of that, and that is traction braking force. That is so now I am going to deal with the vehicle dynamics, which must be very clear conception. It is very important part of the automobile engineering, vehicle dynamics. What is that? That is the driver, then it is the vehicle, and then response of the vehicle, and effect on occupants. Okay, this is what exactly, if at all there is any modification, then it is being transmitted to driver and to the response. Modification will take place, then it will be transmitted to the driver or to the response. What is the vehicle response? Now vehicle dynamics can be classified under three categories. Okay, three categories. Vehicle dynamics can be classified under three categories. First one, what are the three categories? First one, that is longitudinal. Vehicle is moving in a straight line. It is moving longitudinal. Then that is study of behavior of the vehicle in a straight line during the acceleration, braking, straight line stability, etc. When it is moving in, say it is moving along the x-axis. I should say it is moving along the x-axis. I will draw the figure, then it will be more clear. Three axes on which it is moved. Okay, so x-axis, y-axis, x-axis. Okay, that is longitudinal. This is y-axis. That is lateral. Okay, this is z-axis. That is vertical. Okay, this is x-axis. That is longitudinal. So the vehicle has to face three directions. First one, longitudinal axis. Vehicle is moving in the straight line, and that is during acceleration, braking. What happened? The accelerating vehicle, braking, then stability. In the x-axis, longitudinal direction, normally the movement take place, acceleration because of the acceleration, because of the braking effort, and stability. Then the second one is your lateral. Second part, lateral movement. Lateral means along the y-axis. That is when you are turning the vehicle or overtaking something, turning the vehicle. Turning or overtaking. When you are trying to overtake somebody, then that comes lateral, under lateral. Okay? And the third one, that is the vertical. Third one, vertical. Vertical movement. Vertical movement means, suppose bump has come, yeah, that is road block has come, that is encountering a speed breaker comes, then it will move upward. Or pebbles, koi gadha aa gaya, then it will move upward. So vehicle dynamics, we study three parts. That is along the x-axis, that is longitudinal motion, along the y-axis, that is the lateral motion, and along the z-axis, that is the vertical motion. Three motions take place in a vehicle. Now I would like to explain you, that is your rolling resistance. This is very important, and you must have the conception of that rolling resistance. Okay? Rolling resistance, that is an important part in the vehicle dynamics. Okay? Now you must have seen when the wheel is moving. Okay? So we have got the treads. Okay? We have got the treads. Suppose these are the treads. This is the road. Okay? This is your wheel. It is moving in this direction. So these treads are coming in contact with the road. They are being pressurized and then they are being released. In that way, all the treads go through this type of motion. And because these threads are made of elastomer. Elastomer. Elastomer means rubber. Okay? If it is plain rubber, then what will happen? That is I will draw the axis also, that is stress and that is strain. What will happen? If it is plain rubber, then only tensile, if you just uh, pull it, then what will happen? It will be moving like this and it will be coming back. If you release it, it will be coming back over here, back to the 0 point. But elastomer, if it is pure rubber, but normally we have got a viscoelasticity, very important term. Viscoelasticity. Viscoelasticity, see, if it is elastomer pure, then it will behave like a spring, coil spring or like that only. You compress it, you release it, it will be like this. And the curve between stress and strain will be like this. It will be going up to this. If released, it will come back to its own position. Okay? That is your elastomer, normal rubber. But if it is viscoelastomer, then dampening effect also comes into the picture. Then dampening effect also comes into the picture. Then in that case, if you just stress the rubber, it will be stressing, and if you release, it will never come back to our original path. Okay? And that is your hysteresis loss. Hysteresis loss. Okay? It will never come to its original path and there will be hysteresis loss. And this hysteresis loss is being compensated by the engine power. The rubber will take its original position, but after some times, immediately there will be hysteresis loss. And that hysteresis loss will be compensated by the engine pump. Now, let us concentrate on the movement of the wheel. Suppose if one is sitting over here, suppose, then what will happen? He will go like this. He will come in the contact with the road surface. Again, it will be released. So, in that case, the motion will of all the threads will be under viscoelasticity, and it will be compressed and then released. But there will be loss of the energy, that is the hysteresis loss. Now, suppose if this wheel is standstill, suppose, then what will happen? That suppose this wheel is only standstill, then in that case, okay, this is the road. Wheel is standstill. Then the compression graph will be like this, uniform. Okay, is it not? The compression graph will be like this, uniform. But if at all movement take place, then the thread will be compressing, releasing, and the sketch will be like that. And in that case, this graph will be something like this. Okay, previously it was here, but now the trough has gone to another place and it will be, force will be like this. Okay, so shifting of the force is taking place, and suppose this is the distance d. So the force has been shifted to another side and the couple formation is there. This is this force into this distance, force into this distance, that is if so that is your rolling force and that is your normal force. So force into distance, that will be couple formation. Now if we shift this force to this point, so we will have to compensate it with a couple, okay, which is opposite to the movement of the wheel, and this couple will help in the braking system, but it will try to stop the vehicle. We can show it here also in the space. That is FR, okay, rolling resistance. This is the rolling resistance. It is just work opposite to the wheel movement. Wheel was moving in this direction and it has started moving in this direction. So this is your rolling resistance, and opposite to that the another force which work over here, that is traction force, Ft, or traction force. Okay, this is rolling resistance, rolling resistance force. Okay, so this is the difference. This is the rolling. What is exactly the rolling resistance? It should be very clear. It is the all physics, mathematics and physics. How the tire behaves, it is all mathematics and physics. It is not like a theory given or like that. It is mathematics and physics. How the rolling resistance is being created, that is a sort of couple, and this rolling resistance help in braking system. Rolling resistance help in braking the vehicle, braking system. Okay, and work opposite to the motion of the wheel, motion of the vehicle. So in that case, I think it is very clear what is exactly the rolling resistance is. Okay. Now normally we go for the mathematical modeling of the vehicle, mathematical modeling MM. Okay, that is input, driver steering acceleration, driver effort, steering, acceleration, braking, etc. That is the driver input. Then output, which comes out, that is displacement, acceleration, and velocity. Okay, this comes out from the mathematical modeling. We are applying the input and we are getting the output. That way, vehicle dynamics to some extent I have tried to explain you. And the most important part was what is rolling resistance. That is completely physics. It is not theoretical only, it is completely physics, depend upon the physics. So thank you very much for today. Welcome.